Every time I get on a motorcycle, something crosses my mind. It's brief, barely a whisper, but in the moment it has my attention. I'm reminded of something that happened 45 years ago. On one remarkable day, I had a moment out of time. In that timeless moment, I got a message. How I got that message, I still can't figure out. Back then, I rode with a group of guys I worked with. We had crazy fun on our bikes. We did things I wouldn't do now. I'm still glad I did them, but I'm more glad I survived them. We had one game where we would race each other. The starting line was the Moore Park Road on-ramp in Thousand Oaks, California. The finish line was 30 miles away. Whoever crossed the 101 and 405 interchange first was the winner. The 101 is the Ventura Freeway. The 405 is the San Diego Freeway. The racetrack was 30 miles of busy LA freeway. There were no rules. Whoever crossed the 405 first was the winner. And the only prize was bragging rights. That was the only prize needed. Another race we had was Decker Canyon, 13 miles of twisties. The starting point was the 101 freeway in Westlake Village. The finish line was Pacific Coast Highway and El Pescador State Beach. Our group had a lot of fun, but I wasn't always in a group. When I went riding solo, I had my own games. One game was a challenge. I didn't know if I'd ever do it. It doesn't sound like much, but it isn't easy to do. In fact, it takes precise timing, maneuvering skills in city traffic, and a good bit of luck. The San Fernando Valley in LA is a dense urban grid of streets running north-south, east-west. Winnetka Boulevard is a major artery of 4 lanes running north-south from Ventura Boulevard on the south side to the 118 freeway to the north. I gave myself the challenge of running the busiest part, the 6 miles from Ventura Boulevard to Devonshire Street without stopping, making all the lights, which, if you've ever been on Winnetka Boulevard, seems a total impossibility. It's 2 lanes of heavy traffic each way, lots of driveways, intersecting roads, 12 city blocks with many stoplights, commercial centers, schools, restaurants, churches, a courthouse, recreation centers, factories, banks, gas stations, apartments, auto detailing, post office, grocery stores, motels, strip malls, you name it. Whenever I was riding my motorcycle in the valley, though, for the fun and challenge of it, I'd start at Ventura Boulevard and make my run up Winnetka. Lots of times I wouldn't get too far before the stoplight got me. But I didn't give up. Over time, I memorized the whole street, every light, every driveway. It took some time, but I figured out the key to winning the race. It was the timing of the stoplights. After many runs, it became clear that anyone going the speed limit was guaranteed to miss the lights. So I started going faster and I started making some more lights. In time, I figured out that I needed to stay about 15 miles over the speed limit and I'd make all the lights. That was doable if there was no cars or trucks in the way, but that was a busy street. This meant filtering between cars was a necessity. No matter the traffic, I needed to maintain 15 miles above the speed limit for the entire 6 miles from Ventura Boulevard to Devonshire Street. Avoiding being seen by the police was also a necessity. That's the part that took luck. It took many runs, but the day came when I made it all the way without stopping. How exciting. I had beaten Winnetka Boulevard. Now the only question was, could I do it again? And after I did it twice, I wanted to see how many times I could do it. Then I wanted it to become second nature, easy, just one of the things I did, another riding challenge mastered. The more I did it, the cockier I got. The more I'd zoom between cars and swerve this way and that to make the lights. It got to the point where it seemed I was invincible. Then I had one remarkable day and a moment out of time. In that moment, I got a message. On that day, I started at Ventura Boulevard and made my run as usual. Each run had its complications, but I knew what I needed to do, and I did it. Nearing the end of the run, I was approaching Mayall Street. That was the last stoplight before Devonshire. Make that, and I was home free. My speed was perfect. I could see the green light. I knew just what I needed to do to be in the clear and win the race again. I relaxed, knowing I had beat Winnetka once more. I could cruise across the finish line. And that's when it happened. I couldn't believe my eyes. Moving left to right, an old man in a plain sedan was running the red light. I had the green light, but suddenly he was poking through the intersection. He was going so slow and I was over the speed limit. It was obvious I was going to hit him in the middle of the intersection. I jammed on my brakes, and the front and back wheel both locked up. Without ABS, both wheels went into a skid. Swerving was no longer an option. The only thing I could do was balance to keep upright. But I knew I was seconds away from T-boning that car. At the speed I was going, it was over for me. All I could do was watch and wait for the moment of impact. But when that moment came, something bizarre happened. Suddenly I couldn't hear anything. There was a blur, my vision faded. I shifted someplace, a place without time. I didn't feel anything. I no longer felt the bike under me. And then I heard a voice, close to me on the right side. It was a male voice, kind but strong. It simply said, "Only this time. This one time. Only one time." After I heard the words, the blur shifted away. I could hear again. Once again I felt myself gripping the bike. My eyesight returned. I was on the bike, headed straight at even speed, just beyond the intersection. Devonshire was in front of me. Mayall Street was now behind me. The wheels of the bike were not locked up anymore. I came to a stop at Devonshire Street and waited for the red light. I was in shock, not knowing how to process just what happened. I was shaking. I knew full well I should be dead. That was the last time I made my run up Winnetka Boulevard. Not only that, after that day, whenever I got on my bike, I remembered the words I heard. Even today, 45 years later, those words seem like yesterday. I think about them before each ride. I can still hear that voice. Only this time. This one time. Only one time. I know what happened that day 45 years ago, even if I can't explain it. Doesn't matter if anyone else believes it. For me, the feeling of it doesn't fade. There's one thing for sure. I respect and have gratitude for every day I get to ride. Oh, and by the way, as the video shows, the other day, I beat Gino Valley. All green lights. This time, I wasn't even trying.